Hello everyone, it's been about a month and Medusa 2.0 final release have been out, which means I've had a little time to play around with it. I know it a little bit better now, and I've also had the time to update my Railway deploy template. Now, if you have seen my video from about half a year ago on the Medusa preview version, there is bits in this video that will be a little bit redundant, so feel free to fast forward through those parts. But this video is outdated because a lot of things have happened in the Medusa stack and also my Railway template. So I need to replace it. And that's why I'm making this video today. And maybe you're here for the first time, maybe you don't even know what Medusa is. So let me just introduce that. Medusa is an open source e-commerce framework where you can build different kind of e-commerce projects. But the most obvious use case, in my opinion, is a webshop. But in theory, you could build a marketplace or food delivery website, maybe even something like Amazon or eBay. But the sky is the limit. It's very customizable. And here's the topics I want to discuss today. So the new 2.0 version is out, and here's a little list of things that has changed. So I'll go through them. And then I'll be doing a demo of a Medusa webshop that I have built using the Railway template that I will be showcasing in the end of the video. So the last part of this video will be a tutorial where you can, if you follow the last part, you can launch your own Medusa 2.0 webshop. It is very easy. But let's start with what's new in the new 2.0 major version. And the highlights, in my opinion, is improved architecture. And I've had the time to play a little bit around with it. I'm very pleased with it. So if you're planning on, in the future, taking your webshop to another level by making new features, building other integrations into it, or using some of the community created modules, it's very easy to keep the source code of the Medusa 2.0 separate from your own customizations, and it's very easy to build on top on. At least I think it's very intuitive. They created this blog post when they released the 2.0, and here you can read some more details about the whole architecture if you're into that. You can also just take my word for it, and it's better. The next thing that is a massive upgrade is the promotions engine. So in the 2.0, you have a lot more possibilities to set up different kind of campaigns, something like a % off sale or coupons or whatever. And all this can be set up in the admin dashboard. I'll give a tour about on the admin dashboard in a bit, but I'll not be showcasing the promotions engine because if I show all the features of the admin dashboard, it would be a really long video. So there'll be some parts for you to explore on your own. The next really big change is the inventory management, and this is probably not relevant for most people, but if you outgrow your business really quickly and you need to, maybe you're selling to customers in different countries, the new inventory system can manage warehouses across different locations. So you can have multiple inventories. You are not able to do that in Medusa 1.0. So if you want to be safe for extreme growth in the future, then Medusa 2.0 got your back there. That's really nice. The last really important thing with the 2.0 release is some really cool starter templates. So as I mentioned in the beginning, you can build different kind of projects on the Medusa stack, and these templates, I'll make sure to leave links for all of these pages in the video description or my blog post, so you can find them. This one will cover some different starter templates. So some people build, this is like a cookie shop, and here is a business to business case. You can just click get started here and you'll be taken to a GitHub page with some instructions. So this is some interior decoration design. It looks really cool. Here's one for a coffee business. And here is some furniture shop. This one is the official classic just web shop. This is the one I have used to create the Railway template that we'll cover later in the video. And the last one here is another business to business where they have, I believe they have modified the data model a little bit to add like employee entity. So there is different roles that are not part of the normal Medusa. So they do right here in the top launch in minutes, and I might not exactly agree with that. I know you can click get started and launch it on your local machine pretty quickly, but if you want to have it production ready on a server, domain setup, connected to a database and all that, that is not necessarily so easy. But this is where the Railway template comes in handy, because it will do all of that for you. Unfortunately, it doesn't work with all of these starter templates. It only works with the normal web shop here. So if you want to customize it, you are on your own from there on. All right, back to the topics for today. The last part is an improved admin dashboard. So they have added a lot more user interface, and you will be seeing some of that just now. Let's go ahead and go to the next section of this video, and that will be the demo. So I have launched here on Railway my template, and the backend is the first entry point we're gonna visit. So I haven't set up any custom domain, so I'm just using the Railway domain now, but setting up a custom domain is super easy and straightforward. I'll go here and open up the backend, and I'm gonna need my login credentials, which is over here. So first thing we need to do is add /app to access the dashboard. The base URL is just the API endpoint. So now we are at the login page, and I will have to find my Medusa email, copy that, paste it in, and the password. All right, let's log in. So this is now your dashboard, and as I just mentioned before, here's the inventory dashboard where you can manage inventory across multiple warehouses. And here we have the new promotions engine where you can create new promotions. And as you see here, there's different types of promotion, and you'll be taken through a little setup wizard here. But I'll not be going into details with that. I'm gonna follow this structure here. So showcase the admin dashboard, and then I'm gonna create a product. And then we are going to the storefront, and we're buying the product that we just created and confirming that we're receiving the order confirmation. So this is from end to end, from launching the webshop, creating a product, and someone buying the product. So an end-to-end purchase flow, very relevant for a webshop. Okay, so I go to the products tab, and you'll see here there is already some demo data. These are seeded in the database once you launch the template. But I'll create my own product here for this demo. And it's a poster. And it's a cat in a spacesuit. Now I'll upload media. So I'll go to my pictures, and I'll find the space cat here. And let's continue. And you can set up all these like types and what collection the product belong in, tags and categories to make it easier to find in the web shop when people are searching for it. But to make this a quick demo, I'll just continue from this. And let's manage the inventory, and let's set a price. So in euro, it will be, I think 20 euro is a fair price for a nice poster. And in dollars, it will be a little bit more, I believe. So 25, let's say. Looks good to me. Okay, I'll publish the product. The image loaded, that's a good sign. Okay, let's add some, because you see here under the inventory we have no posters available, so no one would be able to buy it. It will say out of stock on the storefront. And then inventory items. Go to inventory items, and we're gonna have to add it to a warehouse, and I'll say the European warehouse, it's pre-configured. So let's add it to the European warehouse. It's in Copenhagen. And now that we have it in a warehouse, we can add some entries. So we can add some stocks. I have 10 posters in stocks, let's say that. All right, so let's go back to the products page here. Yeah, so we have now one poster, there's one variant. So if you wanna change variants, that could be, for example, like you can buy it with or without a frame, or maybe in different sizes. So this one only comes in one variant, and it's published, that's a good sign here. Let's head back over to Railway. And if you see here on the project overview, We just entered the backend right before. It's the core of the Medusa project here. Then there's the Postgres, it's our database, so the product exists partly here, all the details about it and the inventory and all that. But the image exists in our media storage here. So there is now a buckets file storage service that is connected to the backend. And you can see the storefront here, it has an arrow pointing over to that as well. So the storefront, the webshop, is able to serve the images from here. So when you add products in the backend and upload images, they are kept in a really nice bucket system here. And you can manage all your files from the console here. But let's go to the storefront and open up the storefront. And I didn't do any customizations to the storefront. So this is the welcome page. You will also have that if you launch the Railway template. And this link here will take you to the blog post I just showed a minute ago. And there's a video on how you can customize the storefront so you can get rid of this welcome page and build your own. Let's go to the store. And we see our newly created poster is here. So, and there's no variant, so I can just add it directly to cart. I'll add it to cart. And while we're at it, I'll get one more product. I'll get a sweater because it's winter time and it's actually quite cold here. So let me get, I believe I can fit a medium sweater. So I'll get that as well. All right, let's go to the cart. And now what I haven't showed you yet is that when I launched this project, I also set up an API key to Stripe. So I have enabled credit card payment. And I also set up an API key to Resend, which is like an email service. So those two things are third parties that you need in order to, well, you need an email service to send emails and you need a credit card provider to handle transactions. I've set that up here. So we can check out with credit card. Let's go to the checkout page. And I pre-fill with the John Doe information. Continue to delivery. And you'll see here is an express shipping for a fixed rate of €10 and a standard shipping for 10. And these are default configured when you launch the template. So in the admin dashboard, you can change regions and warehouse and inventory. You can also customize shipping for whatever your shipping rules are gonna be. I'll choose the default express shipping and continue to payment. Oh, there it is, credit card, boom. So now we can pay with credit cards. That looks better. Thank you, your order was placed successfully. So the payment was right. And let me just find my email inbox from Resend. Yeah, less than a minute ago was an email to John Doe and it bounced because johndoe@email.com is not a real email, but we can inspect it here. So this is the email that John Doe would have received if he existed. Yeah, so that's all good. So we now set up a Medusa store, added one product and checked out the product and purchased it as a customer and received the order confirmation. All right, that concludes the demonstration of the Medusa webshop. And the last part of this video is the tutorial. How can you get this yourself? And it's very easy. If we head over to my blog here, I have a post called Medusa 2.0 is finally here. And here's a little bit of information about how you do. So if I just scroll a little bit down, you'll see here is requirements, and you're going to need a GitHub account and you're going to need a Railway account. And they need to be connected. So first you sign up with GitHub and then you sign up with Railway, and then you click sign up with GitHub when you sign up for Railway, then they're already connected. Now, then you can deploy the template on Railway, which sets up all the things that I just showed you earlier. But it's important to know that on the free Railway user, the unpaid user, the whole project will not be running in the cloud because it's a too large project. There's too many different components, and they don't allow the free tier user to host these complicated projects. So what you can do is you can either launch it and then it will just not be live. Then you can eject it to your own GitHub and clone it and run it locally. And I would suggest doing that before you upgrade to a hobby plan. The hobby plan is only $5 per month. So if you want to get a feeling whether this project is right for you or not, you can run it locally, and then you can always turn on the paid plan afterwards, and then your project will be hosted already. But I'll click the deploy button, and then you'll be taken to this deploy page here. You can see the overview of all the things it consists of, and this is why you cannot run it as a free user, because there's simply too many services that we need to run here. But you click the deploy button, and then there is some different parts can be configured, but I have pre-configured everything for you, so you don't need to worry about anything. One thing I can mention though is that if you already have an API key for Stripe and Resend, you can click the configure button here and you can put them in here. So the resend from email, that would be the email of your domain, and then your API key and Stripe API key and a webhook secret. But all of these, I have 2 other videos showing you exactly how to get these API keys, and you don't need to put them in now. You can always put them in later. So start the project, and then you can watch the other 2 videos on how to set up Resend, how to set up Stripe, and then you can always add those API keys later. So for now, I'm just gonna leave it as is, and then I'll click deploy. And if you are the unpaid user, then I do have this video over here on YouTube. It's called How to Eject Railway Service to GitHub as an unpaid user. And in this video, I show you the same deploy template from a few months ago. So before it had the bucket storage, and you can see here I'm logged in as a trial user. So if you follow this video, you'll know exactly how to clone it to your local machine and run it as an unpaid user. So that's that. Let's head back to Railway. I'm just gonna pause. And here we are at Railway, and you can see now the canvas has been populated with all the bits. The Postgres is already running. And we are deploying the Redis. We're deploying the bucket storage that's ready now. Redis is ready. The console is not ready. I didn't show you what the console were in the demo, but this is also a web interface. So the Storefront has a front-end app. The backend has also a front-end app, which is the admin dashboard. And then here the console is like a web interface for all your media. So in this you can manage all your bucket media. So all the images, you can delete them, restore them, back up, all these kind of things. And if you click here, then this is the URL where you log in. And right here you find the username and the password, just like how you access the backend dashboard here, the admin dashboard here. So your URL is right here, but it's not ready yet, only when the check mark is green. You go into the variables and you scroll down, and here is your login credentials, the admin email and the Medusa admin passwords. All right, I'll pause the video and come back as soon as all the bits are done. All right, the deploy has now finished. If we zoom out on our canvas a little bit, we can now see that all the check marks are green. And again, these are live for me because my user is on the $5 hobby plan. So I have live access. If you are on the trial plan, as I just mentioned before, watch the other video. It shows you how you can eject the whole project and run it on your local machine. Now let's just verify that everything works. So I'll open up the admin dashboard and log in. And don't worry about the error. This is because we're accessing the API directly. We need to add /app to access the dashboard. Arrivals, scroll down to the email. Passwords. And if you want to use another user than the admin at your mail, it's very simple. You go to setting and you go to users and you click invite. And then you put an email to a user and you send an email and they will receive an invitation link. Now, if you are already logged in on your browser here and you click the link in your inbox, it will not work because you're already logged in, so you should open an incognito browser when clicking the invitation link. That's a good tip. Another thing that I want to mention is that few steps might change because I update this template all the time. So information is in this video can be outdated, and also the other video right here where I show you how you eject and run it locally. As I add new features to the project, some steps on how you spin it up locally might change. So you can always check out the GitHub repo README here. You can see I bump up this version number every time I change the template. So this is now the Medusa stack version 2.0.4, which is the latest as of when this video is recorded. And here is the local setup steps. So these are the commands you need to run, and I'll make sure to keep these updated. Another way to stay in the loop, I signed up for this Blue Sky social media, and every time I make an update to the deploy template, I'll try to remember to talk about it here. So I'll leave a link to this page. You can follow it to, if you use the template, this is where you will receive the news. All right, I think we concluded all the topics for today. I hope that this helps you to start your own Medusa webshop or another e-commerce project. And if you do so, please showcase it, leave a link in the comment to your work. I'd love to see it. That's all for now. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.